Hello. This is going to be a tutorial on how to do 4x4's beginner's centers. So for this, you're going to want to start off by scrambling your 4x4. And the first step is to make a white center. What we're doing when we make 4 of these center pieces, one color, is we're making the white center of this 3x3. So, starting off, what we want to do is making a bar. So this is a white centerpiece, and this is a white centerpiece. So you can do a U prime, and then an R wide prime, and that makes this bar. And then you want to make another bar, and I already have mine found, and so I can just start off and pair the bars together. This is very easy, and you should be able to do with not that much struggle. The next step is to make the yellow center. So for the yellow center, the best way to do that is the same way as the first way, except you can't mess up the white center. So for me, I already have the first bar paired, but let's say if I didn't, and it was like this, where this piece and this piece, I see that I can make a bar by first moving this layer down to move that white bar back. And then now when I fix this, it's going to solve this, but watch this orange piece, it brings it up into the top layer. So if I do an F move, now this yellow piece is here, and I move it back, and it makes a bar. For a second bar, what you can do is you can rotate to have this on the left, and then you can bring the two rest of the pieces closer to each other. You can do this kind of move whenever you want, because it's not affecting these two centers, and you're gonna pair them. So if this was up here, I can see that if I do this move, it gets them diagonal. We don't want them diagonal. We want to make a bar, and so to make this bar, we can do a U move, and then we can move this piece up here to make our bar. Then we can rotate back like this. Then we can move this white bar back, then do the front layer twice, and then move it back. And that solves that without messing up this. The next step is to make the first center in this row. This one is quite easy, but it can also be a bit challenging. So we're going to start off making a bar as usual. There's a blue piece here, there's a blue piece here. And you do have to know your color scheme, but this is what I use. It's not the best method for remembering it, but it's something that works. Holding white on the bottom, you can hold blue in front, and then you can memorize orange, green, red. It's also good to know it from this angle with white top and green front. Holding white top and green front, it goes orange, blue, red. It's also good to know it from that angle. But we can start off by making blue. So we have two blue edges here, and so I can move this top layer twice like that, and then I can do a slice move to make that bar there. And then I'm going to want to move this bar here so that I can move this layer without messing up this bar. So then I'm going to find the next two edges right here and right here, and I can do a F prime and then an L wide or R wide prime like that, and that solves this bar without messing up this bar. Then if I just move this down again, this one stays up here, and if I move it here and then move it down, it messes up this one. So what I can do instead is move it over this way, so that is on the right side, and then move it down like that. Now we have 3 centers. So now we can work on making orange. So what we can do is a U move, and then an L, and that makes a bar. But just messed up this. So we don't want to do that. What we can do instead is do this layer here to move this blue bar up. Then to move this top layer, move it down. Solving this, keeping this solved, and solving this. The next bar is back here. But what we can do to move it here is rotating up to it to keep the bar on the top, moving the top twice, and moving it down. That also messed up this. So we can move it over here, and then undo that, which doesn't mess up this. Then to insert this, we can just do an L wide prime, U2, L wide. And that solves the second center. For this next center, it's going to be green. And so what I like to do is notice that there's only 2 centers left. And so when we solve one, the other one will be solved too. So we can insert this first piece without making a bar by just doing L wide prime, U, L wide prime, which puts this here, messes up this, and then solves it, and keep this one here. And then we can move it here, because then when we do this, it makes a bar here, and we can do a U move, and then undo that. And we have just solved all of the centers. Now, if you get a case where it's solved but your color scheme is off, what you can do is a pretty easy thing. You can just move this bar up and do a U2, and then undo this move, and then do it on the other side. So move this bar up, do a U2, and then undo. And that swaps these 2 centers. And that's the first step, centers. And what we just did was we created these centers on the 3x3. Quite easy. Alright, so after solving the centers of the 4x4, the next step is edge pairing. And so for this step, we are going to want to find 2 edge pieces that are the same. So these 2, the green-white and the green-white piece, go together. And so I'm going to want to make them so that they're here, one of them is here, and another one is here. Here and here. So we have one here, and I see that if I rotate, then I can do the top twice and move this down. Now they're kind of next to each other. And what we can do is do a slice move to pair them together. And then make sure you have a piece up here in this top layer that's unsolved. And then you can just insert a piece from here into this slot. So to insert this piece, we can move this up, and then move this here, and move this back. And then we can undo that slice move, and it solved that while keeping our centers. We can do that for the rest of the pieces. So orange, white. So I can put this piece here by doing F prime, R, L, F, L prime. That's just like a sledgehammer, kind of, because if you rotate, which you might know from 3x3, which puts this here, and then we can do the same thing, except on the left this time, so. And that solves that edge. So, you might get a case where when you're solving edge pairs, where there's the yellow-green and yellow-green, or it could be any piece. It could be the blue-red and the blue-red. Doesn't matter, but they're in the same slice. And this can be hard to fix. But one simple thing you can do is do this algorithm. R, U, R prime, F, R prime, F prime, R. And that just rotates these 2 pieces like that. And then we can proceed as normal. So make sure there's an unsolved edge in the top. Move this here. And keep it back here. Insert it like that. And yeah. So another thing that you can get when you're going through edge pairing is this case where 2 of the same pieces are in the same row. And the piece that it's attached to is also in the same one. And there's no other pieces that we can that we can like slice and then move in without messing up something else. So what you can do is hold them so that they're in the same slice row, do a slice move, then do the swapping algorithm we learned. So that's R, U, R prime, F, R prime, F prime, R. And that just swapped these two, and we can slice back, and we would have solved all of edge pairing. Now, you can go through and solve it like a 3x3. You should know how to solve a 3x3, and if you don't, you can go ahead and watch my tutorial or someone else's, and you'll probably learn. And so, you can solve it just normally, but in OLL, while doing it, you might get a case that's impossible on the 3x3. You can see we can't get this case where this one edge is flipped, and these two edges are 2, but we're counting them as 1. So these two are the equivalent of this edge on the 4x4. And so we need to learn this long and kind of hard algorithm to swap this. The algorithm goes like this. And R wide, U2, then rotate down, R wide, U2, R wide, U2, and then do one R prime wide, U2, L prime wide, U2, R wide prime, U2, R wide, U2, R prime wide, U2, R prime. And when doing that, it's the way to remember it is by just after every wide move, you're always going to do U2s. There's no U's or anything. And yeah. And then you might be solving your cube, and you might be going through and with the beginner's method or the advanced method, however, and you get to an impossible case on the 3x3. There isn't a case on this 3x3 that's like this. And this is called PLL parity. To switch this, what we can do is a slice move in the center, up twice, and then a U2, and then we can do another slice move in the center, like that. And we can just U wide 2, and then another slice move in the center. And then what you can do to finger trick this is, instead of going like this, you can just do U wide 2, U2. And there you go. That's how to solve the 4x4 Rubik's Cube.